a former lowlife, but now people call me the king. Tearing it up with every lyric that I bring to the table. Because I'm willing and able, I'm in more homes than Comcast cable. I got the skill that'll rattle your brain. I'm a threat like Saddam Hussein, everybody know my name. Joe Habib's a top soldier, kid they should've told you, you really need to pack a lunch. My words hit hard just like a Tyson punch, so give me a chance, I bet you I can make you dance. Show me your girl, I bet you I get in her pants. I'm breaking egos and money is what I'm stacking. Joe Habib on the mic, you know I'm down for action. Shout out to Make Beats Sir and the Beat Smith and the whole Rope a Dope radio crew. Yeah. All right, what's going on, everybody? Well, as you all probably know by now, Anthony Joshua versus Dillian Whyte has been canceled due to an adverse finding in VADA testing from Dillian Whyte's sample that was collected by VADA. So I tweeted out today, it seems kind of coincidental that more often than not, you have a fighter test positive from a VADA test within days of a fight, right? And he seems to have passed all the other set of tests, right? Whether it be UCOD or whatever commission he's fighting in, and, you know, whatever testing that they are providing. So the commission testing, the UCOD testing, whatever, those tests always seem to come up fine, but it's always the VADA test within days of the fight. Now, I know these tests are done weeks before, but it always seems that days before the fight, we find out that someone has an adverse finding or trace amounts from a VADA test that they've taken, right? See that from a lot of fighters. And then people will say, oh, well, the other testing's not as good as VADA. You know, VADA is the only one catching people. No one else is really catching people. VADA's, you know, so good at what they do. Well, I have to question that, right? I really have to question that. And the reason being, again, this is just my opinion, and this is not me making accusations. I just have questions, right? I just have questions. So VADA is the voluntary anti-doping agency, right? According to them, they're not heavily funded. They don't have a lot of money, right? They actually just collect the samples, and then the samples go to a WADA accredited lab, and then, you know, the results are, I believe, are, you know, come from the lab, right? But they do the collection of the samples, right? So I got to ask myself, how good are they at collecting the samples, right? Because they're not a heavily funded agency, right? They're not as big as the other testing agencies, right? I think they're the smallest out of all of them, right? So I got to ask myself, how good are they at collecting the samples, right? Could there be an issue because they're not heavily funded, right? Maybe their collection process isn't as efficient or doesn't have the same level of quality that maybe an agency that does have more money, that's funded by the state or funded by you know, the British Border Control, I believe. I think UCOD is funded by the government in the UK, if I'm not mistaken. So they have more money, right, than VADA does. So one could argue, because they have more money, is the process, the protocol of collecting these samples, is it of higher quality? Are they better at it? Are they more efficient at it? I have to ask these questions because you always hear the same story. Oh well, they've passed all their other tests, but they failed the VADA test, right? So are these samples tainted that they're collecting? Is there an issue with the way they're collecting the samples? Because Connor Ben tests positive for a fertility drug, right? I remember Billy Joe Saunders tested positive for some type of stimulant that's an inhalants, right? And then you have Oscar Valdez testing positive for phentermine, right? All these really are not drugs of choice that an athlete would take to get an edge in performance. And we can go down the rabbit hole and come up with all these scenarios on why they would take it, masking agents, blah, 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 blah. That's fine. But again, I don't know, man. I'm not thinking about taking phentermine, right, to try to get an edge in a fight. Obviously, it's a strong appetite suppressant. I've already gone over this, but in terms of increasing a performance, it's not a drug of choice. There's so many other things that if I wanted to get an advantage, I would probably go with something else. Same thing with Clomid, right? I'm not taking a fertility drug. Oh, well, babies will be on testosterone. Trying to, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. And I guess I don't guess, but I believe after from what I heard, UCOD cleared Connor Ben after having you know scientists, medical people look at the circumstances, and they said that it looks like that the samples could have been contaminated, right? Somehow. That's what they said, that the samples look like they possibly could have been contaminated. So once again, if the samples are contaminated, how good is VADA at collecting the samples? How good are they at it? I just find it hard to believe that it, they're the only ones catching people and no one else is. It's always the VADA test that comes up dirty, but not the other tests, right? And it's always these drugs like phentermine, Clomid. I think it was the stimulant was like oxy something that Billy Joe Saunders tested positive for. And they have their own set of protocols. Oh well, you can't take stimulants during the training of a fight, which is ridiculous because again, stimulants are in and out of your body within 24 hours, sometimes less. You know, and you may get an advantage in the training, but unless you're going to take it prior to the event, you're not going to get that advantage. Oh well, well, what if you get the advantage in training and it makes you better because your training is better? Yeah, okay, but here's the problem with that argument. You're taking stimulants during training, right? And then you can't take them 24 hours before the fight. So your body's already gotten dependent on the stimulants. So now you can't take the stimulants anymore. So now your body's going to crash. So again, we can have these arguments all we want, but the WADA protocol allows for stimulants during training, and they allow for other certain levels of substances. And VADA has this zero tolerance policy in terms of their testing, right? So you got a difference of opinion here between the agencies, right? So I'm just asking questions. Once again, we're within days, you know, we're less than a week away from what was supposed to be Anthony Joshua, Dillian Whyte rematch. Findings. I don't know. A lot of funding, right? Their tests are the cheapest, right? In order to, right? It's a lot cheaper than all the other agencies throughout the world, right? So I just got to ask myself, how good are they at collecting the samples? If it was said that Connor Ben's sample could have been tainted, right? So that indicates to me that that's an issue with VADA collecting the sample. He passed all his UCOD tests, but coincidentally, he just fails the VADA test. So that's a question I have to ask. That's a question I have to ask. How good are they at collecting the samples? What level of quality do they operate under? You know, because the old saying is you get what you pay for, right? You get what you pay for. So if they're not heavily funded, right? They do have they are the cheapest agency out there. So you have to start questioning the quality of the process in which they collect the samples. Could they be doing a good could they be doing a poor job at it? Could there be issues with it? I'm just asking. I don't know, but I just find it coincidental that the least expensive, the least funded, right? Testing agency is always the one that is catching people. We see it all the time. Like, oh well, he passed the VADA test. Excuse me, he passed the UCOD test, or he passed the commission's tests. Right? We hear it all the time, but we got an adverse finding of trace amounts. Think about it. Adverse finding. What does that mean? Can mean a lot of things, right? Trace amounts. I don't know, man. Like, again, are these samples tainted somehow? Is there an issue with the way VADA collects the samples and the way they send them off to the lab? Right? Are the bottles sealed properly? Are the people who are taking the samples, how good are they? How professional are they? If they're not getting a lot of money, I would assume, right? So how good are they at collecting the samples? Is there an issue in the way they're collecting the samples? Is there a problem with the way they're collecting the samples? Because if a group of scientists and medical professionals looked at the Connor Ben situation and they're saying that it looks like that Connor Ben samples could have possibly been tainted, that's telling me that could be an issue with the way VADA collected those samples, sealed the bottle, and sent them off to the lab. To me, that seems to be a VADA issue. And I know people are saying this is the third time he's been busted. I get it. But I'm not worried about that. I'm looking at this specific issue because I'm hearing an adverse finding, right? And a lot of times I'm hearing these drugs like phentermine, these types of stimulants, that nasal spray stuff, and I'm hearing about fertility drugs, and I'm saying to myself, why would a fighter take this stuff in the first place? Who would advise a fighter to take this stuff in the first place? Doesn't really give you that doesn't really give you any performance benefit at all. It's not. No one's gonna sit there like Lance Armstrong when he was trying to win the Tour de France. He didn't say to himself, "Let me go out and get some phentermine. Let me go out and get some friggin' Clomid. No, he went and got the good stuff. He got EPO. He blood doped. He got the shit that's actually going to help you. So I'm seeing all these like these drugs and these failed tests from VADA, right? Or these field tests that from VADA collected samples, right? And I'm saying to myself, like, when I heard that Oscar Valdez tested positive for phentermine, and I'm sitting there saying to myself, like, why the fuck would Oscar Valdez take phentermine? I know it's an appetite suppressant. It helps him make weight, but there's so many other things he could have taken that would have helped him better and been more effective, right? So many other things. He could have taken an ephedra caffeine stack that would have been 10 times more effective, right? Than phentermine, and it would have spared a lot of lean muscle mass, which phentermine does not do, right? So that's why I'm questioning this. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but I'm asking a simple question. Because you have VADA, who is not heavily funded, they're the cheapest of all the testing, right? According to them. We're not as expensive as everyone else. So how high of a quality of work do they actually do when they're collecting these samples? How good are they at their job? That's all I'm saying. Yes, I understand ephedra is banned by VADA, Bruce, but my question is, if he was really trying to get an advantage, he would have taken something like ephedra instead of phentermine, which is a drug that doctors prescribe to 40-year-old women, 50-year-old women, middle-aged people who have problems losing weight, right? There's so many other drugs that are more effective in terms of losing weight and actually preserving lean mass and adding to performance, right? Than phentermine. I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking questions. Why is it always a week before the fight or days before the fight that we're getting these adverse trace amount findings by only one agency, while the other tests that have been taken, whether it be from a commission, whether it be from UCOD or whatever, those tests are always coming up clean, but the VADA test is always the one that has the issue. And then we just recently found out that it has been determined after an investigation that Connor Benn's VADA sample could have been tainted. So I'm asking, is there an issue with the way VADA collects the samples? That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. You know, I'm looking at this at a case-by-case basis. I know Dillian Whyte's had issues in the past. I understand that. But I'm asking questions. Why is it always the same agency? That's all. That's all I want to know. That's all I want to know. That's all I want to know. And why am I going to put so much stock into an agency, right? That openly says we're not heavily funded. We don't have a lot of money, right? Our tests are cheaper than everyone else. So if I'm hearing those things, I'm going to have to start questioning, right, the level of quality of the people collecting. How good are these people, right? If you don't have a lot of money, you're not going to be able to pay people a high salary. And usually when you're paying people a lower salary, You're not getting the cream of the crop, right? From the employee you're hiring. You're getting a more than likely a less effective employee. So if they're so cheap, they don't have a lot of money, right? How good are they at what they do? Right? When you're looking for the best, right? Do you get the cheapest? Do you get the most, right? If I'm looking to get high quality out of it. So I'm just questioning the level of quality of the process of collecting these samples. If there's any issues with collecting these samples. That's all. It's a legitimate question. It's a legitimate question. Especially after this Connor Ben incident. That's all I'm asking. That's my only question. Another question we have to ask too is what's going to happen to this card now, right? What's going to happen to this card? Is Hrgovic versus Dempsey McKean going to be elevated to the main event? Is Joshua going to fight Hrgovic or Dempsey McKean in the main event? We saw what happened when Joshua had a late replacement before, right? We saw that. Didn't come up so good for him. Didn't come out so good for him last time he had that late replacement. So we got to ask ourselves, what's going to happen this time? What are they going to do? Or are they just going to scrap the whole card altogether? That's what we have to ask. We have to ask ourselves, what's going to happen to this card? We really have to ask ourselves, what's going to happen to this card? I don't think Hrgovic is going to fight AJ either. You know what I'd love to see happen? Obviously, they can't. Whoever, if they're going to continue to go on with this card, they would have to replace AJ with someone who's already on the card because that means they've already been training. But if they're just going to elevate Dempsey McKean and Hrgovic to the main event, which I suspect that may be what they're doing, but I don't know if people are going to ask for refunds. This is a very, very complex situation, right? It's a very complex situation. I don't know what's going to happen here. You know, will Caballero or Wallen take this fight on short notice? Will they need some time to? At least Ruiz had like a 5-week camp. I don't know if someone's already been in training. I don't know if someone's already been in training and maybe they can just step in. But then again, would Joshua want to do that because he's already been preparing for Whyte, and then all of a sudden he's going to have to switch it up and start training for somebody else? So I don't know what's really going to happen here, man. That's crazy. The whole situation is crazy. Judging by the comments in the chat, not too many people were excited about the fight anyways. So do you guys even care that the fight's scrapped? No one seems to be caring. Who knows? Who knows, man? Who knows? But yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about, man. Not much to say. I'm not really interested in the Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz fight. I'm kind of sick of these crossover fights, these YouTuber fights. I think the novelty's worn off. But yeah, man, I just want to know, man, what's up with VADA? What's going on with VADA? Is there an issue with the actual collection of the samples from VADA? And am I wrong here for being a little suspicious that it's always the same testing agency that keeps catching people and nobody else. Man, Drew, what's going on, man? What
Nothing much.
what are
You,
your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this craziness?
I'm fucking so proud of you, Beeb. You cancel your this own
I haven't
subscription.
canceled it yet. I'm tempted to. I'm contemplating. I'm
Come on,
contemplating.
Beeb. Join us.
Did
Join
you
the
cancel? You canceled, Drew?
yeah. Join the rebellion.
I have zero interest in the, and you know what's crazy? They're gonna make me pay for this fight tonight. Amanda Serrano versus Heather Hardy. And then when they asked Amanda Serrano, why are you fighting Heather Hardy? You know what her answer was?
Mhm.
Oh, well, she deserves a six-figure payday. What the fuck kind of reason is that for fighting somebody? Because you think they deserve the six-figure payday? At least Tyson Fury was like, trying to play it off like that Chisora was a tough challenge, even though he was trying to do a solid for Chisora in the same way that Heather Hardy's that Amanda Serrano's trying to do a solid for Heather Hardy. At least like try to camouflage it a little bit, like lie about it a little bit.
I,
That's fucking crazy, bro.
I just don't know the logic of some of these people when they discuss what they're doing and everything anymore. Like,
No business mind, right?
yeah, it's like that. Like, you clearly are not. You clearly was trying to get an easy fight because Heather Hardy's really not really who she is, who she was anymore.
She's
Like,
like 40 something, like 40 years old, man.
yeah, like it's really ridiculous, but it's more like a showcase fight for Amanda because like what is she gonna do after it? Is she going to pursue Alicia Baumgartner? I doubt it. I don't think that fight happens.
Think about this, Drew. She never fought Alicia Baumgartner, right?
Nope.
She never fought Micaiah Mayer. She
Nope.
never fought Tasha Jonas, right? She
No.
never she never fought Jessica McCaskill, right? Um,
Cassilia Breakers.
Cecilia Brakes. Did she even fight who's the other girl? Did she ever fight Holly Holm?
No, the big name she only fought was Katie Taylor.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
So she never fought any of these women, right? Never. She never fought any of these. Terry Harper, that's another one. Like there was so many fighters she did not fight. And I'm supposed to like look at this girl as the best, like one of the best female fighters of all time. I'm
I
sorry.
I want to put it in that I want to put her in that category because
And
I
then,
tell you the truth, I think in my opinion, the greatest woman fighter of all time is Cassilia Breakers.
okay,
So, like, I don't even pay. Like, tell you the truth, I can't even give Carissa Shields credit because the upper weight classes, not a lot of women, mostly a lot of them have sub 500 records. There's not really a lot of fights to be made up there. So,
yeah,
like, lower weight classes are the best ones.
yeah.
But nah, this whole card, man, like they can go down the street from the O2, get somebody out of an English pub, and go fight AJ for a couple £1,000 and call it a day and everything. Like this, they're gonna cancel the whole thing.
Do you
Like
think they're gonna cancel the whole thing?
like the, nobody's gonna pay money to go see Horkative as a main event.
That's crazy.
Like you expect somebody from the country to be the main event, not him and
Yeah.
everything. So they're gonna cancel the whole thing unless Eddie Hunt throws a lot of money at someone like Derek Chisora to fight AJ on week's notice.
And I said earlier too, like you saw what happened when they got a late replacement for Joshua when they brought in Ruiz, and it's tough. I remember back in the day when they originally wanted John Jones to fight Chael Sonnen as a late replacement. He said, "No, let's postpone this and give me some weeks to prepare for him because I was preparing for somebody else." So it's not easy getting ready for a late replacement. after you've been in camp preparing for somebody else, especially when you got that Wilder fight. And now they push that Wilder fight back to January. I don't know, man. Like, what's going on with these Saudis? Like, they're pushing the fight back, pushing the fight back, pushing the fight. Why can't they just do the fight like in September or October or something? Why does it have to be like at a specific time? That's the crazy thing.
I think
What?
I think the only way this fight happens sooner, and I think it should happen sooner, is that the WBC mandates AJ Wilder to fight for the mandatory spot because Wilder's ranked 1, AJ's ranked 3. It should be a title eliminator and for the interim title. And I think you push it and say, hey, you guys need to start negotiating or we'll go into post bid and everything. Like the Saudis are gonna have to do their best to negotiate a fight, or they could probably lose it to somebody else in a post bid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a lot of issues. Does Eddie want to put AJ in that line of fire right now?
Well, this is the problem you have, and obviously I'm sure you're aware of it. But with Wilder and Joshua, if you got to be very careful who you put them in with. And do you say to yourself, at this point, do I just wait it out, or do I try to like see if they can just go ahead with the December fight and just say forget about it at this point, forget about that, like having another interim fight in between? That's what we have to ask ourselves.
You know what? I look at a lot of things. In the past couple months, DAZN has lost a lot of money due to main events and boxing cards being switched around or canceled entirely because of fighters getting injured, fighters testing positive, like fights falling apart. Like DAZN has had a lot of bad luck lately, and plus, it doesn't help when both promotions that are on under the DAZN banner are somewhat starting to put out subpar cards now and everything for people that are paying subscription fees for it.
Let me ask you this. And again, we don't like taking shots. Well, I don't like taking shots at people, but is this kind of like karma for Eddie Hearn? Because he was telling people that Showtime's going to go out of business. They're not doing boxing anymore, saying ESPN's going to get rid of their deal with Top Rank. But now, when you look at PBC and you look at Top Rank and ESPN, they're kicking the shit out of fucking Eddie Hearn right now in terms of shows, right? This is almost like karma, right? Like when you put that negative energy out in the universe, it usually comes back to you. Is that? Do you think that's happening to Eddie Hearn right now?
You can say it, but people gotta look at it like this. Eddie does not possess the talent on his roster and with the ability to make great fights that people are actually going to be intrigued by other than PBC and Top Rank, because as you see, you're able to have two promotions work, like send fighters over to each other and build fights off and everything. So Eddie Hearn, nobody's willing to work with Eddie Hearn to do that because the way that he does business, the way he conducts himself, he has a target on his back. And tell you the truth, you can say it is karma, but he puts his own target on his back with the shit that he says and everything. Like, tell you the truth, the American market is a bigger market than the UK market. So
in terms of revenue, yeah, I mean, we make more. The fights generate more money over here. When you're charging $85 for a pay-per-view and you're charging $5,000 for a ringside seat, I mean, it's not even close.
Like, it's just crazy. Like, Eddie has people on his roster that he generally does not know what to do with because it's going to be hard to make fights with the top elite fighters in that he in that division because all of them are with PBC or top rank. The only chance he has to get a fight like that if a fight was to go to post bid and he was willing to bet on it, so his fighter can stay on the zone and fight. Like for instance, Andy Cruz. He's fast tracking him, but here's the thing: he don't have much that he can give Andy Cruz
No,
and everything. So Andy's development is going to take a huge hit because the fighters that he can only give him is going to be like really subpar with it.
that's
So
true.
so
What
like
do you, what do you think of all this Boots Ennis talk now? All of a sudden, Boots Ennis is kind of sliding into that Errol Spence slot now for the cult out there. Didn't Am I wrong? Didn't both Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence say after this fight that they both wanted to move up to 154? Wasn't that the goal for both fighters? Terrence Crawford said, "I want to move up to 154 and try to become undisputed at 154." Like that was already said even before this fight took place. So like, what's going on now with all these supposed now Boots Ennis fans now?
tell you the truth, like I'm gonna be honest with you, there are a bunch of low IQ motherfuckers. Like here's the thing: when they look at it like this, when their man got beat the way he did, one sided, of course they're gonna turn their back on him and support someone else. And the thing about it is, they make all the excuses out the gate about why it happened and everything. And the thing about it is, I said this in a video I did yesterday. They'll keep doing it because they know the dumb people will go super chat them, will go donate, will go become members and make them money because hey, I'm gonna keep saying it because I'm making money saying it.
Yeah, a
And
lot,
it's a shame. It
lot of
really
gr- lot
is.
of grifting, lot of grifting going on out there. A lot of grifting.
But I'm a huge Boots supporter, but I look at it like this. I said he beats L. Spence. I said the main issue, the main problem with Boots is going to be Terrence Crawford because Terrence Crawford is in a league of his own. He'll give a better. I don't know. Here's the thing. He'll give a better fight than L. Spence. It's style like, but do I think he's ready for Terrence Crawford yet? I don't know. I can't give a yes or a no answer and everything. Would I favored right now? I would favor Crawford and everything.
Yeah,
But Boots has the tools to beat Crawford. He just has to utilize them to his advantage the right way. Boots might be another year or two from challenging Crawford and everything. If I'm Boots, let him move up. You can go up to 154 after win a belt at 147 or be unified, get unification with Stanionis because they move up, you're elevated to a 4 champion. Stanionis is elevated to WBA 4 champion. Fight him, beat him, take his belt, become unified. Rocha be elevated to 4 WBO champion. Beat Rocha. You got 3 of the 4 belts and everything. Build your legacy at welterweight, move up to 154. May, Maybe you'll have enough knowledge and everything to challenge Crawford, and or Crawford might be gone by then. Try to go and dominate 154. Boots has a bright future. Like
Boots is young too. How old is Boots? What's he like? Boots? What's he like? 30 or something?
I think he's like in his mid 20s.
Yeah. How old is
Like
Boots?
like I look at it like this: Boots is the best fighter at 147 besides Terrence Crawford right now.
Yeah, yeah. I think Boots. I think Boots would beat Spence too.
Like I really think that
Oh,
Boots
he's only 26. You're right. I'm sorry.
mid
20.
20s.
He's only
That
26 years old. He's got plenty of time, bro.
I really think that he's not promoted by Al Heyman. He's not
No.
like he has nothing to do with Al Heyman. That's one of the main reasons why you won't see that Al hasn't let none of his fighters fight him
Yeah.
and anything. So I think Boots, if they can get Boots and keep him active, at least let him fight twice a year and everything. Boots will gather enough experience, enough knowledge, enough to go and be ready for someone like Terrence Crawford. Oh, when Crawford retires, be able to compete with the Jesus Ramos, the Sebastian Fondoras, the Mendozas, the Tim Sues and everything. Like, but right now, I think he should just dominate 147. Let Crawford move up. It was his plan all along to move up after the Spence fight, and just. But I think Crawford's gonna fight Charlo next. After the Canelo fight, he moves. Here's the thing: he's gonna make that same mistake, Charlo, after losing to Canelo. He's gonna make that same mistake as Roy did, as Khan did, as Kell Brook did, and move back down 2 weight classes, defend his belts, and get destroyed by Terrence Crawford.
See, I have a different opinion on that. You could be right. I'm not saying you're 100% wrong. I have a feeling that Charlo will go down to 160 and fight Carlos Adames, right? And I think Carlos Adames will be elevated to full champion, so he'll fight for the WBC title. And I think Crawford will probably fight Tim Tszyu for the WBO title, and I think those other titles will become vacated. That's what I think.
I think I'm gonna tell you this right now, and I'm making prediction like I did with that Spence Crawford fight. I think he knocks out Tim Tszyu.
Oh yeah, he'll knock out Tim Tszyu.
I don't even think.
And I like Tim Tszyu a lot, but I don't think he could beat Crawford.
Joe, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think Tim Tszyu is gonna make. I don't think this is gonna be a competitive fight.
Yeah, it could be one-sided too.
Like I just see like when they made Charlo versus Tszyu at first, I said Charlo would knock him out and everything. I think after seeing all of this, I don't think it's gonna. I think it's gonna be a completely one-sided fight with Tszyu and Crawford.
Yeah, see, I think Tim beats Charlo, but I don't think he beats Crawford. I think Tim's good, man. I think Tim's a great fighter, man.
Here's the issue with Tim. Tim does have that style. He can have that pressure style and everything, but we need to see Tim take shots and has his chin questioned, and he got knocked down and he got back up and he won the fight and everything. I want to see Tim hurt and see how he comes back from it and everything. We haven't seen that from Tim Tszyu yet, and until we see that, he's never gonna have that experience unless he gets hurt and he comes back from it. And I think Charlo's the one that could hurt him, but I don't think he'll come back from it. That's the thing. Like, I just see that maybe Tim is a little bit not ready, but he's got a belt now. He's beaten an Asian Tony Harrison and everything is his best win. So the only thing, if Tim wants to stay active, he should just try to make a name for himself, fight these other top guys, like try to get Brian Mendoza to fight him, try to get a fight with Fondora. Like, that's the fights he needs to chase right now, because these other fights that he wants, he ain't gonna get them right now. Like, build your name up, but I think the dark horse of 154, and I'm gonna tell you this, the man that's going to be the future of that division is Jesus Ramos.
That's a good one too, yeah.
Like, I think it maybe in a year he fights Tszyu. I think he beats Tim Tszyu.
That's a tough one. You can definitely give him a good fight.
Like,
you can make an argument for that. Sure.
So, like, it's really crazy, but it's not really like that's. You can argue and say that 154 is possibly one of the best divisions in boxing now because of the
when Charlo goes up, it'll still be a decent division because you got some young up and coming guys, and a lot of these 147 pounders, they're going to go up to 154. When Crawford goes up there, Crawford's going to revitalize that division. Like he's just going to make that division even better. You know,
And you want to know
I don't.
something?
I don't think Spence is going to fight for at least a year. I still think Spence may retire, man.
I think he should retire. Like, look at it like this: his best financial fight left is a rematch with Crawford, and that's where he'll make the most money at. But Crawford, it's gonna be the same result. Crawford's gonna do it one sided, and he may not. We may not have a referee stoppage. He may knock him out cold.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you can sell that fight right now. A rematch between Crawford and Spence.
I think the only way you could sell that fight if he takes like a year off, and then you put him in the ring with someone to build his confidence back. He's like, oh, he's ready. He's ready for Crawford and everything. But I just don't see it. I think he should just retire and hang him up.
Yeah,
But
he's gonna have to retire, man.
but what I was trying to say with like, yeah, Charlo is moving up to 168 to fight Canelo. But the thing about it is he's not staying at 168 if he loses. He's gonna move back down to 160. And then Charlo is in a bad situation because like mostly everybody in the top 10 in middleweight now, nobody's ever heard of. It's
Yeah,
like a bunch of Eastern European fighters and everything.
yeah,
So he's in a bad hole for himself because there's really nobody there, and none of those 154 pounders are gonna move up anytime soon.
yeah. It's gonna be interesting, man. 160 is gonna continue to be like a fucking. It's gonna be like an abyss, right? And Golovkin hasn't even officially retired yet, but he might as well just go ahead and do it, man. It's crazy.
Did you hear about Benavidez and Andre in the talks?
Oh, they're in talks right now.
Yeah, for a fight.
I think I heard them talking about it, but I didn't know how serious they were about fighting. When are they looking to put that one together?
Probably October, November.
That's a good one. That's a good fight right there. I wouldn't hate that fight. I wouldn't hate that fight. And then the winner gets Canelo. I don't hate that.
Here's the thing. I don't think Benavidez really has a lot of options. He can't go backwards and fight like nobodies anymore. He's gonna have to start making the fights to making a case that that he deserves that Canelo fight. And that
Yeah.
means he's gonna have to take a lot of risks now and everything because an Andre fight is a huge risk because you fought Caleb Plant that has success against you. The only problem with Caleb Plant was that got you to win. He didn't have no power to keep you off him, to keep you back and keep you honest. Boo Boo can box and has power, and he can keep him back and keep him honest a little bit
Yeah.
to make him think twice. And that's gonna be the main focus of this fight. Can Boo Boo make him respect his power and everything?
Yeah, but Boo Boo's hasn't looked good in a while, man. Like he's I think Benavidez beats Boo Boo, man. I think that volume, that pressure is gonna be too much for Boo Boo.
I'm be honest. I will pick Boo Boo to beat Benavidez.
Wow.
I think
Wow.
I think the slick boxing, and I think he'll be able to counter Benavidez. Benavidez tries to put the straight hands out. I think Boo Boo will be able to counter him. And
Imagine what the odds for that fight would be.
to
That'd
tell
be
you the truth,
interesting.
I don't think the odds are going to be. I think the odds will be close.
That's crazy. Thank you so much, Loki07, $5 super chat says, could the rematch be at 154 for all the belts if the sanctioning bodies strip Charlo for moving up 13 pounds without the intentions of returning? Nah, I don't think Charlo is gonna fight Crawford. I don't think he's gonna do it. I think he's going back down. I think he's going to 160. I wouldn't be surprised after the Canelo fight if Charlo takes a year off. After all that money he has and stuff, he'll be like, damn, why do I even got to fight again for a while? Look how much money I just made. That's what I'm saying. So,
Yeah.
all right, Drew. think I'll wrap it up. Not much more to talk about, man. But thanks for jumping on as always, and we'll catch up, man.
All right, I'll talk to you.
All right, be good.
All right.
All right, man. Take it easy, everybody. Have a great day. Be safe. We'll talk to you later, man. Be good.